aware of the need for social and economic development in our communities and with our associated challenges. We must have the right to determine our own balance between safeguarding the Arctic environment and our participation in the modern resource economy. The balance is one that is always at the forefront of our communities. However, we strongly believe significant, sustained, and coordinated approaches to addressing the causes of the warming Arctic climate. Our culture, linked so closely to the porcupine caribou herd, cannot survive. The Arctic environment has sustained Gwich'in since time immemorial, and now Gwich'in must use new ways to stand up and protect it so it can continue to sustain future generations. It is for this reason that Gwich'in need the Arctic Council to continue to show leadership, not only through the groundbreaking projects of the working groups, but at the highest political levels as well. We appreciate the support of those around the table who continue to be allies with us, not only through their efforts to address climate change, both within and outside the Arctic, but also in the advancement of our indigenous over the next 2 years, and in particular, welcome their initiative on best practices in environmental impact assessment. EIAs are an important tool for evaluating this balance that needs to be struck between protecting the environment and facilitating economic development. Merci.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to the Inuit Circumpolar Council.
Good morning, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished guests, and friends. The Minister of Canada, for Canada, we still have Ottawa. Go Seds go. It's a pleasure to meet here in beautiful Fairbanks on the traditional lands of the Taina'ana people, and I want to recognize this and thank them for their welcome and their hospitality. I speak to you today in my capacity as the International Chair of the Inuit Circumpolar Council. I represent 160,000 Inuit from over 100 communities and villages throughout Chikaka, Alaska, Canada, Greenland. One people, one Arctic, and 4 countries with land that spans more than 5 million square kilometers. Last year, the Arctic Council celebrated 20 years. This year, the Inuit Circumpolar Council celebrates 40 years. As others look north, as Inuit and Arctic peoples look from the north, we have an opportunity today to take a moment to observe and reflect. We have done a great deal in the last 20 or 40 years. Think of what we can accomplish in the next 40 to 50 years. The United States has worked hard to advance the Arctic Council, and we celebrate the success of their chairmanship. I believe the U.S. has made progress by supporting the peoples of the Arctic and supporting effective policy development during their chairmanship. This is an ongoing evolution. Each chairmanship moves the target forward as they bring new vision and life to the Council. This is healthy. This allows for renewal. The role of the Council in promoting sustainable development through integration and harmonization of economic development, social development, and environmental protection has been an important pillar. To this end, reports and policy recommendations on food security, culture, mental wellness, and suicide prevention. And here I'd like to thank the Chair and the Canadian Minister for highlighting the work of the Rising Sun. That's a very important initiative for the Inuit community. and on access to safe water and sewer are welcomed and will help with policy making, according to the U.S. chairmanship. We value U.S. efforts, including work on heavy fuel oil, ocean acidification, and the engagement of indigenous peoples in discussions on marine protected areas. We look forward to continued implementation of the Arctic Marine Shipping Assessment and further work of the Task Force on Arctic Marine Cooperation. I must note that the results of all the work done during the U.S. chairmanship would have benefited greatly from an earlier involvement of the permanent participants during project planning stages and through the use of indigenous knowledge. Using indigenous knowledge and science together ensures a more complete and improved result in the work of the Council. We urge the Arctic states to continue and expand on the meaningful engagement with the permanent participants in the ongoing work of the Council to continue to build upon this partnership and move the benchmark up. I also want to signal to the incoming Finnish chair that you can count on ICC to support your chairmanship program. We applaud the establishment of the Task Force on Improved Connectivity in the Arctic. The Arctic requires this to be able to truly walk in the 21st century. ICC supports Finland's effort to improve Arctic community access to clean, affordable, and renewable energy sources, recognizing the potential to further reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to enhance energy efficiency and conservation, and to reduce emissions of black carbon from energy production in the region. The importance of education in fostering sustainable development in Arctic communities cannot be overstated. It is time to move forward on this to close the gap between southern and Arctic communities. We need innovative models and equal access to high and higher quality education at all levels, from early childhood to post-secondary. ICC applauds the Finnish chairmanship for prioritizing the importance of implementing the Paris Agreement on climate change and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In closing, let's celebrate the Arctic Council and its accomplishments together. Let's have the courage to make it even better. Build upon the support of the meaningful and equitable partnerships of the permanent participants at all working groups, building upon the support and encouraging the co-production of knowledge, by truly acknowledging, recognizing, respecting, and integrating each other's worldviews and values, our collective achievement will be enhanced for the benefit of the Arctic indigenous peoples, the Arctic states, and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. I give the floor to the Russian Association of Indigenous Peoples of the North.
Уважаемые министры, братья, сестры, коллеги, дамы и господа. Президент Райпон Григорий Литков сожалеет о том, что не смог присутствовать сегодня среди нас. Он передает наилучшие пожелания и надеется, что встреча министров будет успешной. Меня зовут Владимир Климов, по национальности яманси, родом с севера Тюменской области. Я хотел бы поблагодарить вас за возможность выступить перед вами. Особенно я хотел бы поблагодарить команду председательства США и правительство Финляндии за вашу поддержку, которую вы проявляете в отношении участия Райпон в работе этого важного форума. Поздравляю вас, господин председатель, с успешным председателем США и выражаю благодарность всем, кто добросовестно и продуктивно работал на протяжении последних 2 лет. Райпон представляет сегодня 35 территориальных и этнических организаций, объединяющих 41 народ. Мы являемся уникальным примером содружества коренных народов с самобытными культурами, с разнообразием языков и видов традиционной деятельности, основанной на природных ресурсах. Через наши организации мы можем работать в тесном сотрудничестве с правительством России и одновременно сохранять нашу независимость и возможность отстаивать наше мнение по вопросам, которые касаются реализации прав коренных народов. Несмотря на финансовые трудности, Райпон по-прежнему активно участвует в работе Арктического совета. Когда я впервые приступил к работе, я слышал много историй о том, какие вехи прошли постоянные участники, борясь за охрану окружающей среды, устойчивое развитие Арктики, сохранение традиционных знаний и общин коренных народов. Мы с надеждой ожидаем, что, вступая в фазу финского председательства, этот дух сотрудничества повторится, как во времена процесса в Армении, когда Финляндия заняла критическую важную позицию и таким образом способствовала продвижению общих интересов и совместных действий. Одной из долгосрочных целей РайПОН является формирование у наших детей и нового поколения лидеров глубокого понимания Арктики, ее истории, вызовов для того, чтобы установить высокие стандарты для устойчивого развития, охраны окружающей среды, возможности сохранения и ведения традиционного образа жизни и хозяйствования. РайПОН надеется, что будет проведено больше исследований по вопросу, как сделать арктические общины более экономически стабильными. Мы хотим повысить качество образования для кочующих детей оленеводов. И с этой целью РайПОН инициировал проект «Дети Арктики» в рамках рабочей группы по устойчивому развитию Арктического совета. Ассоциации ежегодно проводятся молодежные форумы, обучающие семинары, проводится активная информационная политика коренных народов, издается журнал «Мир коренных народов. Живая Арктика». Для развития экономической и деловой активности в рамках РайПОН действует деловой совет, который объединяет руководителей общин. РайПОН также активно сотрудничает с международными организациями коренных народов. В марте этого года РайПОН был рад приветствовать представителей Совета Саами, коренных народов, Ассоциацию оленеводов мира на международном форуме и 8-м съезде коренных народов Российской Федерации в Салехарде. В конце апреля состоялся один из этапов проекта АЛЮ в рамках 7-го международной выставки ярмарки «Сокровища Севера» в городе Москве. В заключение я хотел бы отметить, что РайПОН высоко оценивает деятельность Арктического совета в связи с оценкой воздействия черного углерода на здоровье коренного населения Арктики и приветствует расширение циркумполярной сети локального наблюдения за окружающей средой. Мы надеемся, что работа Арктического совета и дальше будет строиться на сотрудничестве с общинами коренных народов для обеспечения их адаптации как к изменяющейся среде, так и будущим экономическим возможностям. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you. I now give the floor to Sami Council.
Mr. Chair, Ministers, Indigenous leaders, observers, friends of the Arctic. For more than 20 years, the Arctic Council has gathered the Arctic states and indigenous peoples' organizations, joined by a steadily increasing development and environmental protection in the Arctic. What is it that binds this diverse group of actors together? What is it that keeps us going for more than 20 years? What makes us claim the Arctic to remain a region of peace and stability in declaration after declaration and stick to it? Mr. Chair, I like to believe that the value we all share is to maintain healthy and productive environment in the Arctic that will sustain our lives today and for generations to come. For us, the Arctic is our home. It is where we live our lives, develop our economies of reindeer herding, fishing, hunting, gathering. We hold unique knowledge about these lands. Some value the Arctic as a knowledge base where to conduct groundbreaking research. Some want to come to Arctic to experience harsh climate, light and beauty. Some look to develop technology to extract resources in the best possible way. To protect the fragile environment and promote sustainable development in the Arctic are still the value that binds us together in the Arctic cooperation. For more than 20 years, this value foundation has not changed. Only more people has come to share those values. What changes are the policies. If our shared values are put at risk, the policies need to change, not the values. That is what the Arctic Council should do. Develop policies to secure our core values in the Arctic. In doing so, Mr. Chair, the Sami Council urges everyone to put Mother Nature first. In conclusion, the Sami Council would like to thank the United States for their very able chairmanship during the past 2 years. It has been a true pleasure to work with the team. We look forward to the Finnish chairmanship and to a close cooperation with Finland and on their themes. And finally, we look forward to welcoming the Arctic Council to Sápmi again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I now give the floor to Norway.
Thank you. Friends of the Arctic, first, thank you to Secretary Tillerson and his team for your hospitality and hard work. Under the U.S. chairmanship, the Arctic Council has grown stronger and more effective. In the Arctic, we have found ways of working together based on common interest and also based on the respect for international law. The result is that the Arctic today is an area based on peace and stability. And for Norway, our number one priority is to make sure that it stays this way. I think we also, during quite volatile times, have seen that we have been able to do so. Only when we use the vast resources and protect its fragile environment, this is possible also in the future. Faced with the rapid changes and the many opportunities in the Arctic, we need even stronger regional cooperation. There is a great interest for the Arctic, not only from the Arctic states, but also from key other actors. Arctic resources must be managed based on best available knowledge. And we must strike a sound balance between economic activity and environmental protection, including climate change. And as my colleague from Canada underlined, in Norway 10% of our population lives above the polar circle, is growing faster, and we have lower unemployment in this region of our country than the rest. And then we also need to develop further in the years to come. Most important, we must ensure that change and opportunity does not become sources of tension and conflict. And we should not be complacent about this. That it has gone well so far is no guarantee for the future. That's why it's important that we meet like this, all the Arctic nations. Over the next years, we will be working very closely with Finland. We know that the chairmanship is in the best hands with Timo and his team, and also having a strategy for even enhancing the regional integration. Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to give the floor to the President of the Sami Parliament, Mrs. Vibeke Larsen.
Chair of the Arctic Council, Ministers, permanent participant, leaders, excellences, brothers and sisters. Sami livelihoods or industries have traditionally been closely related to nature. We see today that our culture will be affected not only by climate change but also by impacts of measures taken in response to it. It is essential to ensure that any decisions regarding climate change action benefit rather than harm indigenous people. Mr. Chair, the cultural heritage sites of the indigenous people of the Arctic are important for self-definition and belonging. They tie the past to the present and they unify culture and nature. They form basis for cultural and creative industries, for art and tourism. It is important that the indigenous peoples have the role as the main guardians of our cultural heritage. In Norway, the Sami Parliament has achieved some authority in this respect. This has enabled us to take an active role, for instance, with regard to defining and promoting a site for the World Heritage List. In light of the current threats to the indigenous people, to the indigenous Arctic heritage sites, including thawing, shoreline erosion and increasing increasing access, it is important that the Arctic Council include concern for indigenous heritage in the future work. Ologito, thank you all.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to the Russian Federation.
Спасибо. Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемый господин губернатор, коллеги, благодарю американских хозяев за гостеприимство, поздравляю с результативным председательством в Арктическом совете. Россия многое делает и будет делать для того, чтобы Арктика развивалась как территория мира, стабильности и сотрудничества. Здесь нет потенциала для какого-либо конфликта. Международное право позволяет надежно обеспечивать в нашем общем регионе национальные интересы всех арктических государств, на которых лежит особая ответственность за долгосрочное развитие Крайнего Севера. Кстати, вчера за ужином министров иностранных дел некоторые коллеги затрагивали вопросы безопасности в Арктике. И в этой связи хотел бы напомнить, что между нашими странами до 2013 года существовала практика ежегодных встреч начальников генеральных штабов вооруженных сил арктических государств. Эти встречи были весьма полезными с точки зрения укрепления доверия, взаимопонимания. И, к сожалению, вот уже 4-й год их проведение было заморожено, причем не по инициативе нашей страны. Мы, как крупнейшая арктическая держава, продолжаем содействовать повышению устойчивости региона к глобальным вызовам, реализации одобренной Генассамблеей ООН повестки дня на период до 2030 года. Понятно, что успешное развитие сотрудничества невозможно без укрепления его ресурсного потенциала. И хотел бы в этой связи выделить значение инструмента поддержки проектов, который позволяет задействовать новые технологические решения и внедрять экологические инициативы, в том числе по уменьшению выбросов черной сажи, ликвидации накопленных промышленных отходов. Хотя Арктика больше не терра инкогнита, регион остается в числе наименее изученных. Подписанное сегодня межправительственное соглашение об укреплении международный импульс совместной исследовательской работе ученых всех наших стран. В числе наших приоритетов расширение взаимовыгодных экономических связей. Мы приветствуем запуск в Арктическом совете сотрудничества в сфере телекоммуникаций и предлагаем на этом примере активизировать деятельность Арктического экономического совета, призываем вступающее в свои права финское председательство разработать конкретные предложения на сей счет с учетом мнения всех участников Арктического совета. Ну и приглашаем партнеров к взаимодействию в реализации российской программы экономического развития Арктики в сочетании с природоохранной деятельностью, мерами по повышению качества жизни, поддержке культуры и традиций коренных народов и всего населения Крайнего Севера. Мы желаем Финляндии удачи во главе нашего совета, будем оказывать всемирное содействие в обеспечении эффективной работы Арктической восьмерки. И обещаю принять меры, которые позволят более комфортно представителям коренных народов России участвовать в работе Арктического совета. Спасибо.
Thank you. I now give the floor to Sweden.
Thank you, dear Arctic friends. Thank you for bringing us back to Alaska. I come from the north of Sweden where you're supposed to be modest, so we call this unnecessarily beautiful. And I would like to first of all thank Secretary Tillerson and also the host committee for the warm hospitality, and also congratulate you on your successful chairmanship. We are 8 ministers of foreign affairs around this table, and we know that there are so many parts of the world that are marred with violence and conflicts. And in this situation, the Arctic is, as you heard my dear Norwegian colleagues say, the Arctic is characterized by peace, stability, low tension, and cooperation based on respect for international law. So let's keep it that way. But the Arctic is today also about challenges, as we've heard around this table from all of you. And I wonder about what the planet would say if she had a seat at the table. Perhaps she would remind us how the Arctic functions as our cooling system. Perhaps she would admit as being as concerned as the scientific community, as worried as the local and indigenous communities who live on the life support system that it offers. And this deep concern might stem from the fact that things are changing so fast now. Only 2 decades from now, the Arctic Ocean could be largely free of sea ice. Perhaps our planet would say, I've been your best friend since the Industrial Revolution. I've done everything I can to dampen and absorb. I have tried to keep Greenland and the permafrost in Siberia intact, and I have sent you no invoices. But it is about to change. Perhaps our planet would quote our own reports. Arctic warming could have a cumulative net cost of $90 trillion at the end of this century. So, dear friends, the 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement provide a science-based path away from these risks and towards equality and sustainability. Like no other generation before us, we have the knowledge, technology, the money, and the capacity to save our planet. It's a win-win, as the business community already knows. Investment in green solutions creates new jobs. Sustainability has become a business case. And in the longer term, the low-carbon growth story is the only growth story on offer. And I think we can serve as an example, the Swedish example. Since 1990, we have reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 23%. And meanwhile, our GDP has grown by 58%. And my government has set the next target. Sweden will be carbon neutral by 2045. Our common goal around this table and in the Arctic Council requires a joint priority, political will, and process of new scientific research, business innovation, and many determined steps towards a sustainable future. Timo, the Arctic Council, we think, will be in safe hands with Finland as chair. And you know that if we want a sustainable future, we need a stable Arctic. And with my grandchildren in mind, I would say, let's go for it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the United States.
Thank you. As Secretary Tillerson already expressed, the United States is delighted to be hosting this ministerial meeting at the conclusion of our chairmanship. We are especially gratified to be hosting in Fairbanks, Alaska. The United States is committed to the Arctic region. We place great value on the Arctic's environmental, economic, and cultural significance, and are well aware of the challenges the region faces. Our nations created the Arctic Council 20 years ago with a primary focus on sustainable development and environmental protection. We have seen the Arctic Council grow in stature and in reach. We regard the Arctic Council as the body for addressing circumpolar issues and for facilitating collaboration among Arctic nations and peoples. Today, we acknowledge the impressive work that has been done by the Arctic Council and look to its future. Secretary Tillerson and other delegates around the table have already noted the Arctic Council's many accomplishments of the past 2 years, including the signing this morning of the new agreement on Arctic scientific cooperation. I also wish to acknowledge the engagement of the many Arctic Council observers who helped make this possible. During our chairmanship, we found new ways to include observers in this work, for example, reporting emissions of black carbon and linking efforts on migratory bird conservation. I also note that the number of observers is growing with our decision to admit 7 new observers to the Arctic Council. As we are pleased that the Council has committed to develop its first ever long-term strategic plan, a step that will help set priorities and direction. We look forward to participating in this valuable exercise. I'd note, we owe success in the Arctic Council in great measure to the permanent participants, who provide a vital and authentic contribution to all that we do. We recognize that the permanent participants face challenges of various kinds in engaging in the burgeoning work of the Council. Let us renew our commitment to work with them in meeting these challenges. With Finland poised to take on the mantle of the Arctic Council's leadership, the future of the Council looks bright indeed. We stand ready to support Finland's chairmanship. Through our partnership with Alaska, the United States will remain deeply committed to the Arctic regional stability and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank all of you for your thoughtful statements and constructive input to all the members of this council this morning. It is greatly appreciated. I now invite Minister Soini to present the program for the Finnish chairmanship during the next biennium.
Thank you very much, dear all. Thank you for this opportunity to present Finland's chairmanship program of the Arctic Council and to share with you some thoughts on how we all could take Arctic cooperation forward. We must take a hard look at the future. In many ways, we are standing at the crossroads. These are crucial choices to be made. International tensions are running high. So far, these tensions have not affected Arctic cooperation. It is my sincere hope that we all work to keep it that way. The Arctic will not remain what it once was or what it is now. Climate change will fundamentally change the Arctic region in the coming decades. Global warming will open up new parts of the Arctic, and human activity in the region will increase. Globalization will reach the Arctic. It is not so distant future. The region may become a hub for commercial activity. Routes may be created. Now it's the time to think what kind of Arctic we want in the future. We should make sure that all human activity is sustainable. Increasing opportunities should benefit the people who already live in the Arctic region and certainly also the indigenous communities. We should develop appropriate stewardship based on international law to govern activities in the Arctic. The Arctic countries should effectively contribute to Finland has very useful discussions with the United States and the other Arctic states and the participating indigenous peoples' organizations. I wish to thank all of you sincerely for your support and your suggestions for the chairmanship program. In our opinion, two broad frameworks should be taken into account in all Arctic Council activities. They are climate change, especially the Paris Climate Agreement, and the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations adopted 2 years ago. Finland has identified 4 priority areas of Arctic cooperation that we believe deserve particular attention. They are environmental protection, connectivity, meteorological cooperation and education. Environmental protection includes many climate-related issues. Finland would also like to take forward to work to safeguard biodiversity, slow down the acidification of the oceans, to curb the emissions of the black carbon and methane, and to reduce marine litter. Connectivity or telecommunications in the Arctic is an initiative launched by the United States. Better connectivity is a lifeline for all human activities. We should speed up identifying solutions that are best suited for the Arctic and work together with the Arctic Economic Council. Meteorological cooperation is vital for the study of changing conditions in the Arctic. We need a strong network of stakeholders providing weather, climate, ice and sea monitoring in the region. We hope that all the Arctic Council working groups will benefit from close cooperation with the World Meteorological Organization. Providing good basic education to all children in the Arctic is the first step to help them learn a trade in the changing circumstances or to receive higher education. We should make full use of the technical means to cope with the challenges of long distances and minority languages. Here we want to cooperate closely with the University of the Arctic Network of Teachers and Educators. When thinking of the future, we should be prepared to strengthen Arctic cooperation and ensure its political support in our countries. Finland is ready to host an Arctic Summit meeting, and that we can agree on an agenda which is appropriate for the summit. Ladies and gentlemen, on my behalf, I welcome the new observers invited today to join in the work of the Arctic Council. Finland recognizes the important role of the observer states and organizations in the activities of the Arctic Council. We want to continue the good practices of the US chairmanship to work for a stronger involvement of the observers. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, dear Arctic colleagues, exploring common solutions is the slogan that Finland will use during our chairmanship. I look forward to cooperating with all of you to find common solutions and put them into practice. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, let me express my thanks to all of the delegates and those who are supporting the delegations for making the trip to come to Fairbanks. I know many of you traveled a great distance to be here, but I think your presence and that effort put forth sends a very strong message as to your interest and your commitment to continuing our efforts to jointly address the daunting challenges that confront us in the Arctic, but also the exciting prospects and opportunities. And I know that in terms of with the theme that Finland has chosen, global solutions, those solutions reside in the minds of people around this table and those that we know back in our home countries and our organizations. And we look forward to seeing those solutions brought forward in future sessions of the Arctic Council. So my final act would be to ask my friend and colleague, Foreign Minister Sini, to join me on the dais so I can pass this most beautiful gavel, which is in and of itself a work of art, to him in his new role as chairman. If you please join me.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated.
That's impressive.
It is very impressive. So I'm going to wield it one last time and adjourn the meeting as I pass the gavel to my friend.